Hello and welcome back to Cooking with Sebbi. Today we are going to learn how to prepare yet another autumn recipe. Today we will learn how to prepare pumpkin risotto. For pumpkin risotto you of course need some rice, you need a pumpkin. And since the rice has to be boiled in some kind of tasty broth, we also need to prepare the broth. The broth is basically a soup without any solid ingredients. I will go for a vegetable soup. So we got some carrots, some celery, some leek, some parsley. We'll throw all of this into a pot, set it to boil, and by doing so we will get our broth we can then use for the rice, to cook the rice, and to also boil the pumpkin. Also we need some onion, we need some ginger, some garlic. Also very important for risotto, Parmesan cheese. Man, this thing is getting a little bit complicated. Of course we need black pepper and salt. I think that's all we need. I guess this is one of the most complicated recipes I've prepared so far. Let's get going. I think we will start with the broth because we need the broth for the rice, to boil the rice as well as the pumpkin. Let's organize everything and get going. The stage is prepared for the broth. We need a big pot and fill that pot with some water. Water, of course, is the main ingredient for the broth, for the soup. And then we can start with the vegetables. The celery, I just like to cut away all the dried parts before cutting it into small little pieces, because this is an important thing we already learned. By cutting things into smaller pieces, it's way easier to boil them and get them ready, as it just increases the surface of all the things. I'm nearly done with the celery, just this last piece here. Okay, celery looks good. And as I said, I like to cut it into smaller pieces, so I think I will just cut the celery itself right in the middle. And now as we got those things, let's just cut it into smaller little pieces. That will be boiled quite easy. Also the wrapper. Also by doing this we will get way more flavor into our broth, and that's the most important thing, because the broth should just carry the flavor of all the vegetables. For the broth you can of course also use some meat like chicken or beef or anything like this, and cook it inside of the pot with all the vegetables. Then you will get way more tastier broth, but since I like to stay rather vegetarian, I'm not going to do so. So next up the carrot. Just cut away the ends as you do, and peel the carrot. Just do it real quick. We're cooking this stuff anyway, so we don't need to be precise. Same goes for all the cutting and so on, since we just boil everything and we're not even using the vegetables later on, so we can cut a few corners here and there by just doing some basic preparations. Has not to look fancy or anything like this. Alright, and same thing here. Let's just cut it into some pieces so that we can get everything in the pot and ready to boil. Alright, get the carrot in. And for the leek, I also just like to cut away the dried parts and take away the outer layer that has maybe dried a bit, and we are ready with the leek too. Let's just cut it into some manageable pieces. Parsley, parsley can, I guess, unless there are some dried parts, also just go in. And yeah, oh yes, I wanted to use some garlic to add some more flavor to our broth. One thing you might wonder, is this not too much water, too much broth for the risotto? Well, technically yes, but since I can just put it in the freezer and keep it for later, things are still alright. So I can still use the broth for a different dish or so. So yeah, okay. Garlic, and we do have some ginger, so let's just take a piece of ginger. I like to add to the broth too. Cut a bit away the peel, like so. And we got all the ingredients for our broth. Put it all in. And we are ready to start the cooking process. So put it on the stove. Get the stove going. Maximum power. Now comes the important part. Salt. We need salt. So now you ask, how much salt should I add to it? Just a tiny little pinch like that? No, we are cooking a broth here. So let's go for 2 teaspoons. It should taste like something, so the more the better. And I also like to add just some black pepper right away to the broth. And yeah, now everything is inside the pot. The only thing we need to do now is to wait for it to boil and to prepare our broth. So I think I will quickly retrieve the lid. Alright, that should take some time. Let's prepare the pumpkin. The stage is prepared for the pumpkin, but first I like to deal with that onion. I like to prepare the onion. I think I like to use half of the onion. This should be enough. I will just cut the onion in half. The onion will go into the pot with the rice. Now let's get away the peel of the onion and prepare the onion. And yeah, you might be wondering, okay, is it really necessary to prepare a full pot of broth for preparing some risotto? Well, the answer is no. You can, of course, just buy some basically instant broth. You can either buy the broth already coming in a jar, or you can buy it in kind of some powder or so. But I find this a little bit more the lazy way, the not ideal way of preparing the broth, or what basically you don't know what kind of ingredients are in there. And since I really enjoy to cook my food fresh and like to only to use fresh and good vegetables, I am not really in favor of buying those instant things. So yeah, this time in this case I'm doing it the complicated way. Okay, the onion is, I guess, good enough. I can insert it to the pot. Let's use the main guest of our party. I mean, you already saw this, how I dealt with the pumpkin last time. So I guess it's just a repetition of the process. Don't cut away your fingers. I think I might use only 1/4 of the pumpkin, but to get this done, I think I still have to split it into the half. Once again, it's a Hokkaido pumpkin. Alright, got that one open. And yeah, I think half of it should be enough, should be more than enough. So let's just cut this into half. And yeah, as usual, get out the seeds. Like so. Cut it again in half. Get those remaining seeds out. Do the same thing over here. Let's just cut this thing once again into half. Like so. Get all this stuff to the side we do not need. And yeah, I think for the risotto I like to go for those little pieces. This should be good. This should be good for the risotto then. And yeah, I guess I will now chop up the rest of the pumpkin in a preparation for the main event when we start boiling the risotto itself. Alright, I'm done chopping up the pumpkin. Looks good. Our broth is boiling, our soup is boiling. As you can see over here, it's steaming out of the pot. This is looking good. So I think this thing has to boil for the next 15 to 20 minutes. And then we are good to go to start preparing our risotto finally. So yeah, let's wait. Oh yes, yours is coming along nicely. So while we are waiting for the broth, we can do one last step of preparation, and that is grating the cheese. Grating the Parmesan cheese. So let's do this. Let's just grate a decent amount of it. This will be added to the risotto just before it's getting finished, to make it thick, to take away the last liquid, liquid part of the broth we will add to the rice, and also to add some flavor and some taste to it. This is going to be great. This is going to be really great. Let's take a look. I think we can add more. I think we can add way more to it. So yeah, as said in the beginning, I guess it's one of the most complicated recipes I've prepared so far. Especially stepwise. So many steps to follow. Grating cheese, cooking broth. Well, we already agreed that preparing the broth is an optional step. It's just a step if you really want to make it taste good. So yeah, I think this is more than enough. This should be sufficient. All right. So preparation finally done. We can start the cooking process as soon as our broth is ready. It smells good. It smells really good already. Can't wait for it. Can't wait for it. Oh, of course. One last thing, I will use, of course, my favorite device, my favorite measurement device for the rice. So I will prepare the rice too. I think I will use half of this glass bottle. And yeah, then we are truly ready to go. Cheese. Alright, the broth is ready. I know this because the vegetables I added to the pot are now soft, and so I declare the broth for finished, and we can now start the process of finally preparing the risotto. So let's start the heat over here. Of course, we need some olive oil to fry up the onions. So let's add a decent amount of olive oil to it. Very nice. And wait for the stove to do its thing. The broth is ready, as I said. I should note that the rice I'm using is not just some ordinary rice, it is specific risotto rice. So I guess there's a huge difference, because the normal rice is rather fluffy and it's not sticking together, and for risotto you really want to have more some sticky rice, and so I bought this special risotto rice. I'm really excited about this. Haven't done risotto in a very long time, so I hope this will work out, and I hope that all the preparations were correct. Okay, we start with the onions. We hear some sizzling. This is nice. This is very nice. Of course, there's one additional thing you could add to the risotto, and that is some wine. You can of course add some white wine to it. I unfortunately do not have white wine right now, so I think I will do, well, not only I think, I have to do a wine-free risotto, but I hope it will just be as good as it would be with wine also. We will see. I'm quite sure. So as usual, we already talked about this in a previous episode. I will wait until the onions are turning a little bit more transparent, are less white, and once we reach this phase, we can even reduce the heat a bit more. Once we reach that phase, I will add the rice and the pumpkin to the mix, so that we can also start to fry it a little bit before starting to add the broth to it. Oh, this already smells good. This already smells really great. Man, this is not only the most complicated thing I prepared in a video. This is also the longest thing, I guess, I prepare in a video. We really have to speed up this process somehow. I think there's no way to speed up this process. Alright, let's fry the onions for a bit. Alright, the onions start to look good, so it's time to add the rice to it. Let's add the rice to it and start mixing it in there. Alright, very nice. Also, I think I will add the pumpkin pieces right away. There's one thing you also have to know about this way of making risotto. And I'm not sure if this is even a good way of making risotto. And on the other hand, which is what I really want to say, you do not need to add extra seasoning to that risotto itself, because we do have the broth, as you just saw in the beginning. I added a decent amount of salt to it, so there we do have some salt in. Then we also got the cheese. The cheese also is rather salty. So in this case, you do not need to add additional spices to it. Everything is fine as it is. And yeah, now I will let this fry for a bit before starting to add the broth to our mix. Okay, the rice starts to get a little bit of some brownish color, so this is perfect. This is now the moment we've been waiting for. Let's get this big spoon and start getting in our just created broth. As you can see, it has a nice color now. I hope you can see this on the camera. And yeah. Let's add it in there. Let's add maybe another spoonful of it. And we might have to add more and more liquid, more and more broth to it, because the rice will start to absorb it. But this is now the process that will take some time. This is now the process where I do have to watch everything closely and from time to time add more broth to the mix and let everything cook and prepare. So yeah, I guess it will take some time. I will bring it back in once we're getting to the next stage of preparing our risotto. As you can see, the rice has gained in volume. It's now really looking good. It smells delicious. The pumpkin is super soft by now. So we are in the final stages of the cooking process. Now comes the last part. We can add the Parmesan cheese to our risotto and stir it into the mix. Oh, this is great. Oh, and this smells so great. This is fantastic. This is just fantastic. So let's cut the heat and stir it around. Alright, this is great. This is really great. This looks fantastic. This looks really fantastic. It's a little bit more, still a little bit on the liquidy side, so I think I will just let it sit. Maybe I will even add some more heat to it for a short bit. It's set here for another 5 minutes and now it's ready. Look at this. Look at this gorgeous risotto. Alright, let's get it into the dish and then I can enjoy my pumpkin risotto. It's a perfect fall dish. It's really amazing. It's a perfect thing for those long fall evenings where you can't do anything else than sitting around in your kitchen, cooking, preparing the broth first, then preparing the risotto, let the risotto sit. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. This looks fantastic. This looks so great. I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. And yeah, this is how you can prepare some pumpkin risotto. I am really amazed by it. It looks so good. It smells so good. So I will now enjoy it. And I hope you got inspired to try out this dish as well. Thank you so much for watching. As always, bon appetit and see you next time.